All right, welcome back. It's Lach and Raph. We are on a mission, as always, to dramatically improve the health and fitness of Australia's business executives and leaders, which is why today, one of my favorite topics, we're going to be talking about hydration.
And we are drinking ultra hydrolyzed alkaline water for this show, which you can hear. No, we're not.
Hydrogen infused.
We're not. What we're not going to do today is overcomplicate hydration. Hydration is extremely important, but for most of us listening, executives, us running locker room, or just trying to stay fit ourselves, it is not that complicated. So we'll cover today how to know if you're dehydrated, and it's something that you need to really think about, how much to drink, and potentially when you need more water or more salt, more electrolytes, all that type of stuff. So how to know if you're dehydrated. I find the easiest way, because we all pee, is just to look at your color of your pee. So, dark yellow, brown, not good.
Dehydrated.
Clear, you're doing pretty good, right? Typically pretty hydrated. Thirst can be probably the secondary indicator, right? This is a bit more complicated, I'd say, because not everyone's thirst is that accurate always. But, if you are really thirsty, you probably are dehydrated, right? It's a bit of a delayed indicator, but it's an indicator nonetheless. So, I would keep in mind, I've definitely met clients that never drink water. I can virtually guarantee they're dehydrated because they drink so little water, and they'll say they're never thirsty. So I think you can get used to chronic dehydration, which makes me just cautious with that as the best indicator.
Thirst is unreliable, an indicator, essentially.
Yeah, and I think it's definitely not as good as hunger. It's not a perfect one. No one's like, dude, I just starved to death. I never got hungry. No. Hydration, I don't know, people can just seem to be chronically, we don't have an epidemic of overhydrated people. We have an epidemic of overfed people, right? So this is one, be aware of, you may underconsume. Okay, so that's how to know if you need to drink more, how much to drink. So this is an average, but 2.5 liters today, 2.5 liters of fluid per day is a pretty good average, right? That works out to around 30 mils per kilo. So I'd say, if you're like me, I always go with averages because I'm average height. That's what I think I am. And close at average weight. If you're Lach and you're 6 foot 100, probably you need to think about it more. If you're 4 foot 8, take that into account, right? But if you're pretty close to the average, you can usually go with the average. And the ideal for that 2.5 liters is to consume that in the first 10 hours of being awake, right? So the first 10 hours. So this is not something you can catch up in the evening. There are huge benefits to actually hydrating at the start of the day. So it kickstarts your day, kickstarts your metabolism, and it just avoids you spending the entire day dehydrated. That's where it is quite different to food. Food, you kind of can catch up food later in the day. It's not ideal, but doesn't matter that much. Hydration is something really good to properly hydrate in that first 10 hours. Now, exercise is probably the biggest variable here, right? It's the biggest variable of how much to drink. A rough guide, again, would be 750 mils per hour of exercise.
Additional,
right? All additional. So 2.5 liters is just to live, right? It's 2.5 liters to live.
To not be dehydrated.
Not be dehydrated. I would be at 3.25, right? For an hour of exercise. It was a massive day, 2 sessions. It's an extra 1.5 liters. It's 4 liters of fluid, right? Which is a lot. But I would say, if it's a hot day and you're a big sweater like I am, it's even more than that. No question. I know it's more than that because I've weighed myself and I've lost up to 2 kilos in an hour, right? If you're running hard in the sun, you can be losing weight very, very quickly. It's a pretty easy one to know, though. If you train and you don't sweat, you probably don't need to replace that much.
Yeah, that's me. We're opposite when it comes to sweating. Yeah.
That's how it is. And you can acclimatize, you can start sweating more if you do more training. That is a pretty common thing. I think I see clients, they first come in, they barely sweat. As they get fitter, they start sweating more.
Yeah.
Even when they're working just as hard. So that is how much to take in. Now, what ingredients help? Salt, you can lose up to 1 gram of salt per hour, right? Now
1,000 milligrams of sodium.
1,000 milligrams. There are patches out you can get to test. I just heard this anecdote. They tested a NFL from the Eagles, offensive lineman. That's the really big guys.
Yep.
And he lost up to 5 grams in an hour.
Wow.
Which is
in a game?
No, it is training camp.
Okay.
With training camp is usually in the hottest time of year, though.
Okay.
But it's it's got all the equipment on, it's the helmet and all that stuff. So you can lose a lot. And you need to replenish that salt. You need to replenish the lost salt, lost electrolytes. If you don't, that's when you tend to get muscle cramps, feeling tired, dehydration. And that may come later in the day. So you could do you wake up, barely hydrate, you go out to a big run to start the day. It's you're going to be really dehydrated and probably feeling pretty bad for the rest of the day. I don't know if you ever felt it, but for me, I find if I'm ever feeling tired in the afternoon, I'll be like, oh, I thought I slept pretty well. Like, man, I must have forgot to have my coffee. No, I had my coffee. Every time I think that, I'm like, dehydrated.
Yep.
And I find, I don't know, I find like a pretty instant fix. Like, start drinking, I feel good.
Yep.
So that's the energy wise. And I think the biggest mistake you get into there is that you feel that tiredness from dehydration and you do something to fix it that is not hydrating yourself. So you just have like stimulants, right? You have extra caffeine, or you may even just try and have a nap, or just like eat extra food, which kind of gives you unnecessary calories. I think that is where dehydration can actually really hit our types of clients negatively. Is they're picking up other habits that are not good for them just to fix the issues of being dehydrated.
Well, food, your body's smart, right? I mean, it's been associating food with water. I mean, there's water and food, right? So it's been making that association your whole life. So when you're dehydrated, it looks to food. It's like, oh, there's some moisture, but maybe it just needs straight water. It doesn't need food.
Exactly, right? Because you're still going to get some water with food, right? That's why some people we have clients that tell me hand on heart, they never drink water. Very possible. You actually don't have to drink water, right? There is still water in your coffee. There's still water in your Coke Zero. Still water in your food. Like you can get enough there. It's just really not ideal.
Yeah.
Now, how do you make water even better? That's where you get into the salt and the electrolytes. And I would say that if you barely train and you drink plenty of water, you probably don't even really need to venture into it. Maybe some slight benefit. If you train a lot and you sweat a lot, definitely benefit there, right? Most important one is going to be salt. You can get that from your food, or you can have that with some sort of electrolyte mix. It'll have other electrolytes in there as well, like potassium, magnesium. Coconut water is I think the best natural one that I could think of. That's not
mostly potassium though.
Yeah, really good potassium from coconut water. Not that good on the sodium. It's pretty obvious if it has sodium. If it's not salty, it doesn't have sodium.
Yeah,
right? That's okay. And it's something that you can tell pretty easily. So that is one. I know some people get really scared around the salt. If your blood pressure is fine, you're a healthy person, increasing salt, particularly if you're sweating a lot, is almost always going to be good for you, right? Yeah. So it's not something to be too worried about. At the gym, we use a brand called Trainer that we recommend to clients, and that's just a really easy way for them to get in the sodium, get in the electrolytes, so they miss from training. And honestly, most people need to drink more water. To making the water taste pretty good. Sweet.
Yeah.
If you enjoy your water, you're more likely to look forward to it. That's me personally. More likely to drink, even if I've had enough electrolytes. Sometimes I just like them anyway. Gets me to drink more water. It's a win for me. So I want to leave you with strategies to stay hydrated, because this is all about just adherence, right? Just doing this every single day to get the benefits. So the ones I do, 500 mils to a liter, first thing when you wake up.
Yep.
Right? You have not drunk water all night.
Yep.
So this is your most dehydrated state. The worst thing you could do is then just set out on your day dehydrated, right? Yep. Best possible time, drink ideally before anything else, right? Get that in. If you get 1 liter, great. You're nearly halfway towards your daily goal. Really good way to start the day. And then glass of water with each meal. No magic here, but just you're typically not going to forget to eat. So if you do the water in the morning and then you do the water with every single meal, you're very likely going to hit your 2.5 liters every single day without thinking too much to it, right? And then the third final tip would be to get fancy and get some of the hydration supplements, right? You can salt your food. If you don't have much salt in your food, you can get Train Aid, you can get a Hydrate, the little pills things, the tablets you drop in. Yep. The Baroccas that go crazy with the bubbles.
Not Barocca, but Hydrate.
Barocca. Hydrate's the brand. Or get a coconut water. There's your different ways you can get fancy with your hydration.
Yeah, probably the only thing I would add to this is you got to make sure that your hydration mixes have glucose in them, have sugar in them, carbohydrates. There are some sugar-free 0-calorie hydration mixes out there. Glucose, so sugar, is actually a requirement for your body to absorb the minerals and to hydrate into the cells. Otherwise, it's not going to work. So
a good example of that would be a no sugar Gatorade.
Yeah.
You can't just not drink all day and then get a no sugar Gatorade and think that you've smashed it.
No. It's better to get the sugar one. Yeah. At that point. Yeah.
Yeah. Or just, hydrate all day as well would help.
Yeah. That's better. That's even better. So that's it, right? We don't want to go too complicated, but essentially most people need to drink more water.
Oh yeah.
Adding a water bottle, just keeping it present with you all the time, makes a big difference for people. Start carrying that water bottle.
I think what we didn't cover, which actually is where hydration gets fancy and complicated, is if you want to tackle a pretty big endurance goal, which we do have clients do, like a marathon, particularly a marathon in the heat, ultra marathon, massive cycling. That's where you really got to dial it in. Probably need help from an expert on your hydration, because it's pretty make or break.
Yeah. But start with carry a water bottle everywhere with you. Start with drinking water in the morning. get a supplement like Trainade, Hydrate, and yeah, you're ticking most of the boxes. So as always, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and we'll speak to you all next week. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode. If you want to get the information in this episode and more, you can download the 30-day health optimization blueprint, which is all the tools and tactics that we use with our clients every day for 30 days. We'll deliver you an email in your inbox. Just head to lockerroomgym.com/blueprint to get the emails. That's lockerroomgym.com/blueprint.